Hey guys, it's Paradise, and today I'm excited to talk about the First Berserker Khazan, another game that we've been covering on the channel for quite a while, and actually got to play hands-on at Gamescom and try it out. And I will say, I was pleasantly surprised with this one, from several different points of view, which we'll talk about as we get through the video. And I'm joined with 26, because 26, you also got hands-on with it at Gamescom as well, right?
Yeah, we went straight into like the boss fights as well, which was kind of crazy because there was a selection on the menu and it was like, oh, here's a boss fight challenge 1 and a boss fight challenge 2. The people there that were like ushering us to like where we sit and like were looking after us, and the employees, the stand people were like, oh, you should probably start off with like the basic like demo stuff that kind of does the tutorials. We're like, no, we're Monster players, we're going in. We played Elden Ring, we know what's up here. Little did we know that if you don't know what you're doing in this game, you will get clapped a little bit.
So that's the thing, like, we've just come off of a few other demos where we absolutely destroyed everything, and they were meant to be sort of more harder games as well. So I was feeling pretty confident going into the First Berserker Khazan. And I will point out, this is it's classified on their Steam page, for example, as a hardcore action RPG. And I don't think they're lying when they say hardcore here. We've played Elden Ring, we've played the DLC. We're Monster Hunter players. We're competent at action RPGs. But this obviously was a very limited time slot where you were going against a boss with preset equipment and stuff like that. I will say, if you did beat the boss at the Gamescom, you did get a little prize. So I think there was an incentive to jump straight into the boss fight. I was really eager to beat this boss. But I will say, as I said, I've played a lot of these games, as have you, 26, and so not many games really give us a bit of a challenge, and I feel like that is missing in a missing space in the market, perhaps, where you want to really have a challenge in these kind of games. Because yes, Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Elden Ring, they all exist, and for people with different skill levels, that might be their challenging game. But for people that are proficient with those games, maybe they're looking for like a step up, and that's where I think First Berserker Khazan may come in. Now, I don't know if there's different difficulties to select, so it will cater to all levels of players, or if this is just the one and done difficulty, or maybe this boss was just like, how sometimes on these demo builds, bosses are tuned up or down to sort of gather data from the players and see what maybe needs tuning. But my experience was, you can see the boss here, this is the boss we fought, this big like goat man. He was kind of brutal, but really fun to fight. The problem was, we only had like, what was it, 15 minutes, 20 minutes to play?
Yeah.
I'll let you go.
So no, but it's like learning the mechanics of the boss fight and just the game as well at the same time is one of the things that probably added to the difficulty. I feel like if you knew the mechanics, like you can see here, that you could probably beast it, because the actual dodge and the parries are quite forgiving if you can get the timing like correct. It's not like Elden Ring where you've got like a small amount of frames or whatever. It feels like it is quite a large window, kind of similar to some of the parries in like Monster Hunter, where it's a bit more forgiving than something like Elden Ring per se. So, but the excitement from the gameplay when you are dodging all the bosses like attacks, bosses feel quick in this, at least for some of them, for some of their attacks and their like combos as well. How did you find it?
Yeah, I think everything you're saying is right. Like, the framework isn't super hard to work with that's there. It was the fact that we didn't know, like, the button to, like, parry or the button to dodge, initially. And there was a special mechanic you can see right there where you have this symbol in your character, and you'd have to do a very specific combo of button inputs to do, like, a big counter. And if you hit that move, it would almost stagger the boss for a period of time. And if you didn't hit that move, you were punished heavily. So there was specific mechanics that are no doubt explained to you and spoon-fed to you as you go through the game from the beginning, but jumping in a boss fight without knowing that obviously means it's going to be a bit more tricky. But I really liked the moveset of the monster because it was very telegraphed, and there was like, it wasn't usually just, at least on the boss we fought, it wasn't just like one big hit and done like we kind of just saw on that boss there. It was flurries of attacks that had like a rhythm to them, and when you got that rhythm down, which by the end of our time we were both pretty proficient with blocking the timing of his, like, it was like a 1 2 3 4 slam kind of attack, which was really satisfying to pull off. But for me, when I got him to half health and he entered a whole new phase and put on a whole new moveset, we've got 20 minutes and we just learnt phase 1, And then it goes into phase 2 with like some massive ground AoE that you had to like climb up a ladder, otherwise it would like insta kill you. And then a whole new type of combo that he was doing, the new timing that you had to learn. That was where I was both like, okay, I'm probably not going to beat him, but also it's really cool to see that they have multi-phase like bosses with actual like extended movesets. That's not just like you learn them one combo that it has and you're like done and the boss is dead, you know.
Yeah, this game's definitely really focused on stamina management more so than other action games of this kind of similar type, and parrying as well. So you're definitely going to have to make sure that if you are going to play this, you're staying on top of your stamina to do moves, because not only do your abilities use a lot of stamina, but you can actually refresh and gain stamina by like doing perfect dodges as well. So if you're very skilled with your dodges, you'll be able to keep your stamina management up to use for like big attacks and parries and whatever.
Yeah, that was the biggest learning curve, was understanding the stamina, because your regular and strong attacks use stamina, your abilities use stamina, your perfect guards use stamina. The only thing that didn't was dodging. Like you say, it refunded a bit on a perfect dodge, which was sort of became super vital and important. I'm not sure exactly what. I feel like it did play like its own kind of beast. I wouldn't say there was
Definitely.
any like direct comparison to that was the trend here at Gamescom. Like these games were sort of standing out with their own sort of control scheme and mechanics, because not like, you know, with some games you could jump on and you immediately get to grips with it because you've played other similar games in the genre. But for this one, there isn't anything that I can draw a direct parallel to in terms of the feel of the gameplay and the controls. Obviously, it's kind of like a Souls-like. It's got these like nice sort of cel-shaded anime sort of stylized graphics. But in the terms of the controls, there wasn't direct parallels that I can draw. So it's going to be really interesting when more people can actually get to play it, because it's its own beast.
Oh, definitely. And you can see here, it's not just boss fights that you can go into. There's a ton of the actual game to explore. This game, as we might have said before, was actually meant to be an MMO called Project Barbecue, which we all looking forward to. If you're an anime fan of like anime MMOs, this was going to be one of those games that you're aspiring to actually play, but it actually got switched around into being this game now, which is a single player game with some of like the Dungeon Fighter Online cast appearing in there as well. So it's exciting to see. But here we get to see another one of the bosses, and I don't think he's got like full armor like we had in the demo or the challenge that we had. So this one was a bit harder, and was actually the second boss challenge that we could do if we wanted to actually do it.
Yeah, and it's interesting to say about the armor, because there was accessories as well that had different like stats and like bonuses on them. So you could see in the menus when we were actually playing that there was like depth to the stats and the builds that you would go into with this game. But obviously we can't see that here. I will say the Dungeon Fighter Online stuff is really interesting, because that's obviously there's a lot of fans out there of like the DFO kind of universe, right? And this is following like the general Khazan. Like I think we're playing as him, so it's gonna give you like hopefully a bit more story and background into some of these characters, which I know like DFO fans will probably really love. I'm completely new to like the Dungeon Fighter like universe, right? So for me, I don't have a lot of knowledge on this, but I think it is really cool that we're going to have this hardcore action RPG as an entry point for people in this kind of already fleshed out universe with a lot of cool characters and cool monsters and things that are going on. And I can only imagine it will be a good thing, because there's so many different characters to pull from. And I think Project Barbecue disappearing is a little bit of a shame, because that was looking and sounding really, really cool, but ultimately it's been sort of converted into this action RPG single player sort of version, which again, from my playing, was its own beast and was very satisfying. And I guess like if you like games like maybe Sekiro, because Sekiro is very like parry heavy, right? And this game, I think you're not going to get on with it if you cannot get to grips with perfect dodges and perfect parries. So there is that skill window, but like any of these hard games, when you actually get to grips with it, it's so like you just feel like a boss, you know.
Yeah, the combat was definitely like exhilarating and definitely felt like an entertaining time. We picked up the controller and I was having a bunch of fun. Sometimes it feels frustrating jumping into these types of action games for the first time, but for this one I was just like, oh yeah, we got a boss to fight. This is super fun. Let's learn the combat and the mechanics, and then I'll have it down. It didn't feel cheap, if you get what I'm saying. So yeah.
Yeah, it was really interesting as well because one of the demoists on the show floor who was watching me, like he was like losing his mind because I was playing without the headset just because I didn't want to put the headset on. And I got to the second phase and I was like perfect parrying the whole combos, like, and then I basically got like wiped out in this like one-shot move that I had no idea. I'd never seen it before because it was a phase transition. And he was like, it was just really cool. He was like, oh, you've got the furthest that I've seen anyone get, and without. He even said that playing without the sound is like playing on extreme hard mode because they're very telegraphed with the sound cues. So that was kind of cool to see. But yeah, that's the first Berserker Khazan. It was really cool to play it at Gamescom, so I'm very excited to see more as this game comes out. But make sure you're subscribed down below if you want to see more videos on your favorite games coming very, very soon.
Bye bye.